Welcome back to the channel. Working on the Bullet 500 again. As you know, I've been doing quite a lot of work on it. Now, when I first bought it, it didn't run. And the bike had been stood, I have no idea how long, but you can tell it's quite a long time. I did get it running here, and I did video it. It was running quite as a mouse, beautiful. I've been doing other work on it, changing training sprockets, which I've had to take the engine casing off. Now, just going back a bit actually, I did run it. I did have a ride around on the road with original oil in it, and it's still fired up on when it's cold. It was lovely and quiet, but it did tick a little bit as it got hot, which is hydraulic tappet, so I expected it to do a bit like. I now stripped it, done quite a bit of work, put fully synthetic oil in it, and I've run it. When I first initially fired it up, it was quite as a mouse like it was before, and I left it running outside, just revving it up lightly every now and then, and it started ticking again, and I started to look around to see what the ticking was. And the hotter it got, the louder the ticking got, and it's right at the top of the engine. I've already put a new oil pump O-ring in it and gasket, etc. Now, when I dropped the oil out of this engine, it was like sludge. It really was. It hadn't been changed for God knows how long. And you got 3 bungs in the sump on this. You have to drop the oil, and one of them has a gauze filter on it. When I pulled the gauze filter out, it got excessive amount of gasket glue, and when I took the right casing off, it had got gasket glue on it. They put too much on when they put some sealer on it, like. And I cleaned all that out, cleaned the gauze out, run it, but it's ticking. Now the only thing I can think of is, because I've used fully synthetic oil, is it's cleaned the engine out even more, and I'm just a bit concerned whether the oil galleries, which are very tiny on this in the cylinder head, whether it's put some crap up there or it's found a bit more gasket glue from somewhere and moved it, and there might be a slight blockage. Now I left it overnight, fired it up this morning, quiet as a mouse, absolutely. I thought, oh, I don't know. So I left it ticking over, just revving it lightly till it got warmed up, and then it started to tick very, very lightly, which was not much of a concern because it's going to do. But the hotter it got, the louder it got, and it's right at the top, it's where the valves are. It got quite loud, which points to low oil pressure, because obviously the cylinder head, the top is the highest point, but the hydraulic tappets are halfway down the engine, aren't they? And it's them that push the push rods. That's what it seems like, the hydraulic tappets maybe. But it wasn't like it when I first bought it. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I've got to find out what it is. You just can't go think, well, I hope it's all right. You could knack your engine up, can't you? So I'm going to take the tank off for a start, take the valve covers off, then because it's fuel injection, I can't run it without the tank because of the pump. So I'm going to just sit the tank on lightly, block the back up, just leave me enough room to get my fuel pipe on and the fuel pump connected, and fire it up with no rocker covers on. I don't want to do it too long, so it's got the thing spotless, there'll be oil everywhere if it's okay, and just see how much oil's coming at the top, that haven't got one rocker arm that's running dry or something like this. That's where I'm going to start. If it's got oil to the top, that means that the oil gallery is going up through the barrel into the cylinder head, which would push oil up there for the rocker arms, etc., is okay. What I'll do then next is take the right hand casing off again where the oil pump is, check the O-ring I put in is perfectly okay. Then I'm going to have to, if I can't see no definite problems, start blowing out, well I will do anyway I think, I'm going to have to blow out all the oil galleries, make sure they're clean and nothing's clogged up. Not really what I wanted, but joys of buying a, well, she's 5 years old, something like that, and I said I don't know how long it's been stood. Wasn't serviced, you can tell. But anyway, I'm just telling you what I'm going to do, and we'll see how we get on, see if we can cure this problem. I've looked on the forums, seems to be quite common, and there is some quite knowledgeable guys on there, but nobody actually pinpoints a particular problem. They usually go for the O-ring on the oil pump. That's how I put a new one in. Yeah, if the O-ring was leaking or not seated right, it could lose pressure. That's why it starts tapping. But I can't understand why it's okay from stone cold. It doesn't make a sound. It's beautiful. As soon as it warms up, it starts rattling. I can't tell whether it's exhaust or inlet, but I can't check the O-ring until I've run it to make sure the oil's getting to the rocker arms. So I need to do that first. Eliminate that at the top. If there's oil coming up to the rocker arms and it's splashing out of both, then the oil's getting up into the cylinder head. Then we'll take the casing off. If I took the casing off first, I wouldn't be able to run it. Right, I better crack on. Wasn't looking forward to this. I was getting to the point where she's getting finished. Maybe another 2 or 3 days work on it and it would have been complete. But never mind. What did they say? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Right, get myself a cup of tea as usual and we'll crack on. Right, and what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to take the spark plug out. I'm going to whistle it over on the starter motor and see if that will pump enough oil up the top so I can check the oil's coming out. Otherwise I'm going to have to put the tank on and run it. Don't particularly want to because it's going to piss oil out everywhere if it's okay. Right, let me just whip the spark plug out. Right, ignition on. Let's have a look what we can see. Well, yeah, seems to be plenty of oil. Let me get a screwdriver. I'll point out the right. Oil's coming up the cylinder head port here, through into the rocker arm block here. There, I don't know if you can see it. Let me just, yeah, you can just there. There's the hole where the oil comes out. That comes out, runs back down into the sun puller for the rocker arms, and it'll run down onto the cam. And there's the inlet one. So let's have a look at those first. You can see the exhaust one pouring out. Inlet one, so you can just see it through there. Yep. Right, let's go around to the valves. Right, the oil comes up into the cap and runs out round, this is the rocker arm, round the rocker arm and the same down there. So you should see the oil coming down here, which will get on the rocker arm, splash it all over the valves, it splashes it everywhere. That's how it works. Right, so look at the exhaust one first. Yeah, if I don't know if you can see it, just down there is absolutely gushing out. Let's have a look again. same on the inlet. The hole, oil hole, is it's very difficult for this for me to get you to see this. There's a hole in the, underneath there. I can see it from here, but I don't know if you can see it on the camera. But let's have a look, which is going to be the best way. Yeah, there's no shortage of oil at the top, which is good news. Well, that proves I've got oil pressure. So I need to look elsewhere. At least to know the galleries in there didn't blocked at all. So there's more than enough there, crikey. So where do I go from here? I'll turn the camera off and think about it. But at least I know the oil pump's working okay, and that points towards the seal. The new O-ring seal I put down below is okay, because if it was not seated right or was split or whatever, you'd lose your oil pressure, and I've got plenty of oil pressure. Joys of owning an Enfield, eh? I think I might have found my noise. I've just removed the rocker arm of the bush rod off the valve. The valve's good condition, nice and flat, unlike the famous Himalayans. Now, you can see this. The surface on here is perfect. The surface in there is perfect. No marks, no scores. Same in the cap. It's perfect. But let me move over to the bench. It's a bit crikey. Getting easier getting down when you get older, does it? Oh, I don't know whether you can see that. Oops, get it in view. There. This is a bit. Yeah, there. Look, there's quite a burr on that. Just there. Also. Now, the surface on here has actually got a step. If I keep quiet and run this across, you'd probably hear it click. I'm running it right near the... Just there. Don't know if you could hear that, but it's just here. Piece there where it's been hitting the valve. There, you might hear that. Yeah. Well, basically the surface on here is worn. It's got a small step in it. It's really, and this here, this is quite a state. Now, come back round here. I'm about to take the exhaust one off, so we'll see if that's any worse. Because there's a rule, if anything's going to take any hammer, it's going to be the exhaust side. Let me just pull it off and I'll show you it. Yeah, the cap on this one just like the inlet, spotless, no score marks at all. This one's, yeah, dip crikey. That's quite marked. Then the camera's going to pick that up. Yeah. Now let's have a look at the face on here. Yeah. It's as bad as the inlet. I would say this is worse than the inlet, and that's as bad. I don't know. No, it might be further across actually. Yeah, the valve itself's perfect. The seat is perfect. What's push rod look like? Yeah, where these sit in the push rod is really worn. This one drops right inside, where the exhaust one actually sticks. So I'm not sure which one is the worst, but they're both worn anyway. It looks like it wants a set of rocker arms in it, which I bet, I don't know till they look. Now whether you can buy just rocker arms or you've got to buy the complete caps and everything, but you know, whatever it needs it's got to have, isn't it, you know. What I'm going to do for the time being, I'm going to get a stone with sharp knives with and just face the surface of that off. These I'm going to get wet and dry and smooth them down to what looks reasonable for me, and then I'm going to put them back in and run it. I'm going to order the new bits, but I'm not going to leave it parked up. It's not going to cause any damage, it's just going to be a bit noisy. But I've got a feeling if I face everything up it's going to quieten it down a bit, but I'll not leave it like that. I'll order the bits. I think I'll get them from India. If I order them from Hitchcock's, it's the same bits as you get in India with a huge price increase, which is business, isn't it? But do you know what? I'm pleased in a way. It means I'm not going to touch the bottom end because it's proved it's got that much oil coming up here. It's not an oil problem. It's not very high, 13,000 kilometres, so it's not a lot. I think it's just not had the oil changes, and probably me putting fully synthetic in it has cleaned all the crap out of everything. Now it highlights your problems, but that's life, innit? I'd sooner it be like that than I don't want to run a nail. I only like things to be right. So I'll find out what I've got to order, whether I can order just rocker arms or I've got to order the caps and bases as well. But I'm going to face them up, wet and dry them down, put them back in, and we'll see how they go. It would be handy if it quietened it down when I've done that, then I'm 100% sure what we're dealing with. But you know, we're looking at warm parts. It's like the Himalayan, when I did the valves on it, the exhaust valve was soft, and the rattling noise that made, it was unreal. Yeah, you wouldn't think looking at it would make as much noise as it does. But I suppose when I first fire this up from cold, that's when the oil's the thickest, isn't it? Now thinking on, when I first fired up with the original oil in, God knows what was in that. It was like sludge anyway. It was a long time before it started to tick. Now this is new oil and it's synthetic, which is possibly a bit thinner. It's highlighted these, but better now than later, innit? And the actual fact for me to find this out hasn't been too big of a job. Right, I'm waffling on again as usual. I'll turn this off now, and I'm going to get these faced up and I'll build it all back up, and then when I've done it I'll run it and we'll have a listen. Right, see you later on. As I showed you before, don't know whether that's going to pick that up. That was the face on the, this is exhaust rocker, badly marked up. It's actually got a slight step in it. That's the bit that drops inside the pushrod tube. This one isn't quite as bad as the inlet, but as you can see, it's, well, I hope you can, it's badly marked up, grooved. It's actually got like a lip on the side. Right, that's that one. Now, I've just been using an oil stone, 1500 grit, wet and dry to finish off. This is the inlet one now. Nice and smooth, no marks in it. Nice profile. This is the end that fits in the pushrod tube. Cleaned up, round. Got as good a profile on it as I can get. Looks pretty good, that. So I can put this one back in, and then I better get on with, if you look at the difference, that to that. I think you might see the marks in that one. Yeah, it's got flat on it. This has. This one, nice and smooth. So I'll get on with the exhaust one, get it best I can. Now I'm going to put these back in. I'll actually let you watch me put these back in, torque them down and oil them and what have you. I've had a look from India. The rocker arms with the caps top and bottom, you have to buy them as a kit. I think they're just machined and matched, hopefully. £55, which I don't think was bad. That's from India. From other sources, I think they're going to be a lot dearer than that. But they're in genuine Royal Enfield packaging and boxing, so I'll get a set ordered. But I'm going to do these best I can, put them in. Hopefully, if it makes a difference, like I said, bingo, we know what we're dealing with. But this is a problem anyway. Alright, I'll crack on and get it done. I don't know whether you can see this, but this is exhaust pushrod tube, very badly worn inside here. It's actually the shape of an eye. It's not even worn it round. So it looks like it was needing 2 push rods as well. Hey ho. I'm going to start reassembling all this. I'll put the camera in a position where you can see this, so you'll not see me, but you'll hear me. Right. Oil up the bearing surface and the top of the pushrod tube. oil all this. Just a bit on the face as well. I'll fit this one in place. Sit that, make sure that is in there. Just give it a bit of a spin. Yeah, I can actually feel that's not ultra smooth. Plenty of oil on here, plenty of oil in here. Pop that into place, make sure it drops onto the locking pins. Now the engine is set on top dead centre on compression stroke. That means that's the least pressure on the arms, valves, push rods as you bolt it all back down together. If it was a manual valve adjustment, it's the place where you'd have the free play. Now I've checked in the caps here, the little holes, there's like a little orifice in there that oil spurts out. They're clean, oil's coming out, no problem. Let's drop the bolts back in. Just wind them in. Just goes to show this has only done 13,000 kilometres, this bike, but obviously it's had lack of care and maintenance. Things do wear out obviously, but not at 13,000, not really. Right, we're going to torque these down to 10 Newton meters. Just pull it down nice and slow and even, because now I'll be pushing against the hydraulic tappet. So you're letting the oil purge out. If you go down, pulling it down too tight, you'll have to bend a push rod. Right, yeah, so that one's gone really slack again now, so it's push the oil out the hydraulic tappet a bit. 10, 10, 10, 10. Just go around and check them, it should click instantly. 10, 10, 10, 10. Beautiful. Right, same again. Make sure there's plenty of oil in the bearing surface. Oil in the end of the pushrod tube. Oil all the bearing surface on this shaft surface, and on here and on here. If you don't do this, it could be a few seconds before the oil gets up and around. Drop that in there like that, make sure that spins. That one spins a bit easier than this one. Right, plenty of oil on here. Plenty of oil on this bearing cap. And pop that in place. Make sure it seats down well. It's not properly in, is it? Yep. Just a bit tight on the pins. Pull down. Drop the bolts in. I think there must be something about Royal Enfields and me. Everyone I buy has a bit of valve problem. Alright, let's pull these down even. Remember, as we're tightening down, we're pushing against the hydraulic tappet down here below. So don't dog it down, do a little bit on each bolt. Go around even, then it pushes the oil out the tappet, hydraulic tappet. Yeah, see that one's gone really slack again now. Yeah, that one has as well, look. Right, 10, opposite, 10, 10, 10, then just go around and it should click straight away. There we go. Haven't made too much of a mess of my engine either. A few hours went into cleaning this. Yeah, good to go. Right, move this round. Well, I'm going to get the rocker covers back on it now. I'll not video that, it's pretty straightforward. I'll get them on. Well, it's all back together now. It's been running a good 10-15 minutes here in the garage, workshop light, so have a listen. You can just about still hear it ticking. Now when that's stone cold, you won't hear nothing. It's slightly better than it was. I put a screwdriver to it, it sounds the worst on this push rod, which was the one that was extremely worn. Instead of it being round in the bottom, it looks like a shape of an eye. Your eyeball. But at least to know what it is. I'm going to order the parts, and obviously we'll get it fixed. So, well, it's a gorgeous day here, so I think I'm just going to nip it down the road, make sure it runs alright, then bring it back in here and we've got to crack on with the rest of the jobs on it. Right, if you thought this video was useful, please click like, big thumbs up. Please subscribe. Any comments you want to leave, put them down below, you know I always answer them. And I'll get the parts ordered for this ASAP, and we'll get it fixed properly. See you in the next video. Cheers.